Hey everyone, welcome to Craving Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Now in this video, I'm continuing my review of Halloween Ends in a different kind of way. Yesterday, I posted a video of 5 things I liked in the movie, and I'm following it up now with 5 things I did not like in Halloween Ends. Now this is not a ranking video. The order in which I share these are totally random and not meant to imply that one is more disliked than the other. I'm going to save rankings until a future video when I break down my overall thoughts on the movie and give it my official ranking. It's coming, but that's going to be in the near future. But until then, let's now turn our attention to 5 things I did not like in Halloween Ends. Let's go! All right, everybody, let's get into these 5 things. Now, the first one I want to talk about is probably the biggest one of all in terms of what I see people talking about, and I think I share the sentiment in many ways. It's regarding the treatment of Michael Myers. And this one is one that's a bit disappointing for sure, because we were really not knowing what to expect going into it. We knew, if you're here on the channel, you'll know from my live streams and videos, I've been talking a while now about how there was going to be this copycat killer, and we knew it was going to be Corey, and I broke down many live streams about it. So we knew there was going to be some type of a mixture of Michael and Corey. It was not just going to be a normal Halloween movie where it's just one antagonist, where it's just Michael Myers against the world, against everyone else. There was going to be some type of a split in this movie. And before we went in, if you've been here on the channel any length of time, you know that that's what we were expecting. I was expecting it, and I was trying to prepare you guys for that because we knew there was going to be this other element. So the question for me came down to, how is it going to work? Are we going to see a 50-50 split between these two? Is Michael going to still get the most of the kills? Or is he going to be relegated to, getting a small percentage of the kills, and this copycat Corey will get the most? Well, the answer we got from the movie, of course, was that indeed Michael was relegated to this very minor role in the movie, really until the end, and it was in fact Corey that was doing the majority of the eliminations of people in the movie. And so it was the scenario I was most fearful was going to happen, and it did. I was hoping it was going to be much more balanced, or I wanted to see like a 60-40 split, 70-30 Michael versus Corey, but it was unfortunately, the opposite for sure. So I just was upset about that, and I do understand from what David Gordon Green has shared about the writing of the movie, how the shape that Michael was in, he was weak. He was not the Michael Myers of Halloween Kills. He hit this point. This was 4 years later, and he was in bad physical shape from all the wounds and everything, and he was basically dormant. He was not the same guy. He was a weaker version. I understand that too, and I do understand that plays a factor. But I guess it was just the shock of seeing how easily Michael Myers could be overtaken by Corey was disappointing. And the one scene was the mask scene. It's the one where Corey gets the mask in the sewer, and they kind of wrestle a little bit like brothers horse playing, and he rips the mask off of him. It's just I just felt the treatment of Michael there, especially in that scene, was a bit much. It was overkill. It was too much. I understand he's in a weakened condition. That's fine. You can show that, show him getting strength, but I just was unhappy with that. I felt like it was a bit disrespectful to the character. So anyway, I won't continue on and on about it. I think you guys understand where I'm coming from. And now when Michael was on, it was great. It was great to see him, at Dr. Mathis's house inside, when him and Corey were doing the Batman Robin team up, and seeing him do the Bob kill again, that was great. so when he was on, he was on. It's just unfortunately, it wasn't very much of that. It was very, very much that till the very end. So that's the first one. Now, the next thing I wanted to mention that I was unhappy with, or not happy with, I just didn't like, is that it was this huge missed opportunity with Hawkins. I've been talking for months. Again, go back, you can hear it on the streams. I said that with the great story arc of Hawkins in Kills, which I thought was excellent. David Gordon Green wrote a fantastic story arc for Hawkins, showing how, he allowed Michael to live at the beginning and how he's been living with that guilt his whole life. I'm like, oh, okay, great. This is foreshadowing. He's setting this up in Kills so that when we get to Halloween Ends, we're going to get to see Hawkins get his redemption. It's going to be a chance for him to finally do what he couldn't do before, or chose not to do, which was to put an end to Michael Myers. And I was really wanting to see Hawkins play a role in taking Michael down, not just being a silent observer, literally, with such little screen time. We didn't really see much of him at all. We didn't get to find out much of all about how he's doing, what he's been up to. We saw him just like less than 5 minutes, I think, total. So unfortunately, we did not get that story arc. I just did not like that we didn't get that payoff that was set up so wonderfully and well in Kills. And I was really wanting to see him deliver on it, but they did not. For whatever reason, they chose not to. So that was a huge missed opportunity, and that's my second thing that I did not like about Halloween Ends. Now, the third thing I'm going to mention is regarding Allison, and it's just, I did not like how fast Allison united with Corey. Allison was such a dramatically different character in Ends than we'd seen in the previous two movies, and it makes sense. She lost her parents, her boyfriend in Kills, so she's not going to be the same person, right? Of course. However, she was so drastically different, and even dealing with that, I would be okay, fine. I could, I won't nitpick on that. But the part that I do nitpick at that I just didn't like, for me, is how she meets Corey. Remember, Laurie introduces Corey to them together. She brings him into the hospital so that they'll meet. And I think I could be wrong on this, but I think it's like 3 days later. Okay, three or 4 days later. Something like that. Allison is ready to leave town with him, to leave everybody behind, including her grandmother, and go be with this guy. And I'm talking about less than a week that she even knows him. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, this is a very poor decision. This is not, I don't think Allison's going to make that decision. That was a shocker to me that it would happen so quickly. It was hard. It took me out of it a little bit. I'm like, I don't believe it. I don't think that's what she would actually do. I really don't. It just didn't fit with what we've seen from her in the past. And that's all. It's just a matter of believability for me that you're going to have this character who meets this other character. Yeah, she identifies with them. They have shared trauma. They have very similar backgrounds and things, and she connects with them, and that all makes sense. But where it doesn't make sense for me is when you take that connection and say, okay, it's been 3 or 4 days, whatever. I'm going off with you, and that's it. That just seems to me a little bit unbelievable for me. So that's one of the things. That's the third thing I did not like about Halloween Ends, was just how they handled that with the timeline. I didn't mind so much, their interactions with each other and all that. It was just the speed, the pace of which Allison is ready to just let it all go and go hang out and go be with this guy. That's all. That's where I have the issue. Now, the fourth thing that I did not like in Halloween Ends was just not tying up some loose ends from Kills. All right, now, some may say this is nitpicking, and that's fine. I'm just sharing some of my thoughts with you. These are my thoughts. I don't expect anyone else to feel the same, and it's okay if you don't feel, if you feel differently. It's great. No problem. This is just how I feel. And so not tying up some of these loose ends, I really was hoping they would give us a little bit of insight on the Karen's death. How Michael got there. How did Michael get out of that house without being caught? and then how, letting us see him, get out of the house, escape, and then flee to the sewer. Let us see that at least happen, where he flees out of town. He goes and he finds it. He crawls into it, and that's it. That's all we need. That's all I was wanting to see. Just tie up those two things. Just show us the Karen's death and situation and how that happened, and then let's see Michael flee out there and set up kind of where he's been, rather than revealing it to us in ends without that flashback, just assuming that's where he's been for the last 4 years. That's all. Would love to have seen that. I have to say, I was not expecting it when I went to see it, because David Gordon Green mentioned that they were not going to spend any time, on the explaining the time gap. So I was not expecting it, but I was still hoping that I'm like, okay, well, maybe just because you're not describing or explaining the time gap, maybe that doesn't mean you're just going to give us this little bit of closure and insight to the Karen scene. But we did not get that, unfortunately. We got just a real quick flashback of it happening in the window. But it is what it is. All right. And so finally, the very last thing, number 5, or the fifth thing, that I did not care for in the movie, was just the pace at which the final battle took place with Michael and Laurie. That's all. It just felt too fast. And I think one of the reasons for that is because David Gordon Green made comments, and I did a video on this about 3 or 4 days ago. It's here on the channel, where basically he explained the filming of the ending scenes, and he said that they filmed that kitchen fighting scene, the finale fight, in sections. It was not shot all at one time. So they would film some parts of it, and they would stop, go off and do other stuff, then they'd come back and say, okay, let's shoot some more. They'd shoot more footage of it. And they did this multiple times, and then I guess it was all edited together from all those various shoots. And so because of that, I think it feels so rushed and just too fast. I said this on my last video. I enjoy what we have. I'm good with it. But what I wanted to see was just make it last longer, because the marketing of the movie was basically saying this is the epic final showdown between these two characters. It's going to be, colossal epic battle. And we do have a battle, but it never reached that level because it just was too quick. It was over so fast. So that was the last thing that I'm going to mention in the video, was just the pace of that final battle. Wish it would have been another 5 minutes longer. Really make it feel like it's really significant amount of time to have this knockdown, drag out fight, especially when you are making the creative choice to kill Michael Myers, to end him. To me, that deserved more time. Make that battle longer. He's killed some people. He's stronger now. Just really drag that thing out a little bit more. Would have been great to see. But we have what we have, and I'm gonna enjoy what we have to the very best that we can. And some of these things, over time, may not be so glaring to me as they are right now, as it's so new and so fresh. But we'll have to see. Time will ultimately tell. But guys, I'm going to leave it there for now. And I want to know if you agree with my 5 dislikes as well, or did these land for you? Maybe they did. Maybe you didn't have a problem with these things. Maybe you're like, no, those landed for me okay. I'd love to hear your opinions about it. What are your thoughts and ideas and feelings about Halloween Ends in relations to things you did not like in the movie? I just want to hear what those are. But guys, I ask you in the comments, please be civil, be respectful, okay? It's all I ask of you. It's just be civil, be respectful to one another and how you make your comments. Because no matter how anyone feels, it's okay, right? It's okay whether they love it, whether they can't stand it, or whether they're in the middle. It does not matter. We're all in this community together. So let's respect each other as fellow horror fans. So start leaving your comments below right now, and I'd love for us to discuss it together in the chat or in the comments. All right, guys, that's all for this update. I'm going to be back soon, though, with more Halloween Ends and other horror movie content. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, this is Craven Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Thank you for watching.